guys, this is Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King. Ally of Imagine Your Goddess, bringing you yet another Set 14 deck. This one's Nectar. They've got some really nice non-Musketeer stuff in here that I hope to do full justice to. I feel that Musketeer, even though it sells really well, it just gets a bit much in it, because it's retiring and With the Legion, there's a lot less minusing or breaking even and turning into straight plussing, which I think is OP as shit. But what can you do? They're aesthetic. I actually like Liquor's Musketeer better, but that's just me. Alright, so our starter. I believe this is the best starter for non-Musketeer Nectar out right now. It's Maiden of Fissilis. What she does is she goes into the soul. When this attack hits a Vanguard during a battle, this unit boosted. In other words, keep it behind the Vanguard, for Pete's sake. You know, you don't need to sit like right here or whatever. It's like, oh, look what I've got naked. No, fuck that. And it summons out a grade 1. Look up to the top 5 cards on the top of your deck. Search for a grade 1 and call it here tapped. Or here, or here, or here, or here. It does not call grade 0s, just so you know. So in other words, even if it's a perfect shield, pull something out. It'll probably die later with all the retire that's going on nowadays. Effing eradicators. Bullshit. This is one of the most aesthetic triggers in all of Vanguard. Maiden of Eggplant. I build my Nectar deck so over what looks good to me and what was powerful. She's so cute. A little pink eggplant horse. It's like weird flower dress thing that's so awesome. I'm tired. Anyway, makes me feel good to ride them. This is one of my feel-good decks. Just because it's feel-good doesn't mean it's powerful. It just makes me feel good to play it. Sand triggers. I am running rainbow triggers in this deck. Why? Fun stuff. And it keeps the opponent guessing. Maiden of Morning Glory, aesthetic card, and the rest are the Watering Elf, which is put this unit into the soul from the field. Choose one of your Nectars, gets plus 3k. You'd be surprised what plus 3k could do in the right places. Let's say you summon something out with Maiden of Venus Trap Root, Maiden of Venus Trap Muse, and it just needs 3k to hit that cross-ridden rearguard SOB. Well, here's your lady. Classy lady. Aesthetic critical trigger. Musketeers. Doesn't change my opinion. I actually really hate the art on the Musketeers. I hate Musketeers so much, in case you haven't figured it out. Heal trigger, and I think this one's just the best one. It also reminds me of Mega Colony. I'm surprised. Yeah. Mega Colony. Set 15, suckers. Anyway, keep it simple. Nectar is a clan you can overthink really easily. So what you want to do is you want to find certain themes. Well, I've got something that gives power. I've got something that gives explosive overgrowth. How to best merge it? It's actually rainbow triggers, because it doesn't matter what's happening here. I attack, 16k to rearguard, stand it for 21k. Boom, boom. Or crit trigger, boom, boom. Doesn't matter. One of the reasons why Nectar really takes an upgrade and it's not Musketeers is through the Maiden of Cherry series. There's only 2 of them right now. But similar to Maiden of Fissilis, what they do is they search out the level above them, except for Maiden of Cherrystone, which directly summons out Maiden of Cherry Bloom, which Legion. No. Which summons out Maiden of Cherrystone directly. This card is a break-even. But a lot of people may underestimate the ability of summoning up a grade 2 whenever you hit. What this card does is put this unit on the top of the deck, blah blah blah, boosted, blah blah blah, Nectar Vanguard, blah blah blah, pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to, there we go, up to 1 Maiden of Cherry Bloom, call it to rearguard in tapped position, shuffle your deck. Let's say you're facing Eradicators and they wipe out your field. Summon it right here, they can't touch it. It's that simple. You'd be surprised, like just keeping things like right here Well, what's an Eradicator going to do about it? I retire your front row. Oh, well, sure, dog. You know, fine, whatever. Maiden of Cherry Stone, as I mentioned before, is Counterblast. Summons out Maiden of Cherry Bloom summons out Maiden of Cherry Stone. 3 of these. Corolla Dragon, 8K. 8K good. 8K booster, fantastic. I need to hit numbers more guaranteed than usually due to the weakness of certain of the grade 2s. Not Maiden of Cherry Stone, actually Poison Mushroom, which I'll introduce later. 15K will hit rear guards. All rear guards, unless they put out a grade 3, which is almost always 11K now. Useful card. The reason why I run 4 of these and 3 of these is because I want to emphasize her and not him, due to the fact that she can summon out grade 2s if I need them. And also, you know, he'll come back. They always come back. 2 Fruit Basket Elf. What Fruit Basket Elf? What does Fruit Basket Elf do? Counterblast 1 when this unit boosts a Nectar Vanguard that's a Nectar that's attacking a Vanguard, it hits, but doesn't do any damage. So in other words, on hit effects, go off. And because this is Nectar, Poison Mushroom goes off because you will have at least 4 rear guards on the field. I can't tell you how many times this thing has saved my bacon because I just had that one more card for Counterblast 1. This deck does not use Counterblast as often as you might think. And even if it does, it's only just 1 Counterblast. I don't have anything. I don't have anything that uses 2 Counterblasts. So this guy isn't out of place. Sure, it's 13K. Will hit cross rides even at the weakest potential part. And at the same time, if the only way they can guard against it is if they intercept, which is a -1 to stop a 13K. Do you think that's a legitimate one? I mean, sure, if you want to keep me from drawing, but at the same time you're minusing yourself. Of the 2, it is better to let me draw than to minus yourself. Straight up, I'm going to say it like that. Not that I follow my own advice. Sometimes it depends on how well you are with rear guards or program shields. Why do I say that, though? Because if you get to minusing yourself too much and you don't have the ability, like say if you're playing Aqua Force, and you don't have the ability as like other clans do, like Gold Paladins, to replace those lost rear guards, you know, you start having a very thin hand. Maiden of Cherry Bloom. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. In other words, you could do it about 3 times with the Soul Blasts. 0, 1, 2. Yeah. 4 times if you're lucky, but I don't think you'll need it 4 times. Just because there'll be other things that are copying or adding cards or whatever to the field. Aesthetic. When an attack hits a Vanguard, search your deck for up to 1 card named Maiden of Cherry Stone, call it to Rearguard Circle tapped, shuffle your deck. Works on Vanguard Circle, works on Rearguard Circle. I can't tell you how often I've had it like this. Bam, bam, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, summon up top 5 first, because you don't want to remove a grade 1 before and lessen your chances of this going off. Oh, look at that, boom. Oh, look at that, boom. Also, Cherry Stone goes off too, sometimes, and that's really fun, because all of a sudden you've got another one here, and you might already have here, Counterblast 1, replace it. Place the Cherry Stone you just lost. Alright, other grade 2s, 3 Hey Yo Pineapples, 1 Iris Knight. There's no reason for Iris Knight to be here, except to keep up the power. Hey Yo Pineapple is there because of the explosive overgrowth nature of Neo Nectar. You will have at least 4 rear guards most of the time. The times that you don't, you are doing a bad job, and you are probably losing due to something or other. Finally, 4 Poison Mushrooms. These 7K, if you've got 4 or more rear guards, 7K, and you got 4 or more rear guards, draw a card if it hits the Vanguard, are actually really gaining a favorite spot in my heart. I play them in my Spike Brothers deck. Break Ride, all of a sudden they're hitting 17K and disappear at the end of the turn. You don't have to worry about them. It's fantastic. Sometimes I play Skydiver, 21K, hit one of the rear guards because they let it hit. and it's like, I don't want to block 21k to save, Brutal Jack or whatever. So I summon out that guy, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, 17 here, Vanguard. And it's like, shit. In this deck, it's more of the fact that Explosive Overgrowth really makes sure this guy happens. Really make sure his ability happens. And all of a sudden, they don't want, like, to block him, you have to put out a card. You could put out 10k, you could put out 5k, it's still a card from their hand gone. If they don't block it, it's a damage and a card in my hand. Combine it with Fruit Basket itself, it's a counter +1, gain a card. Or minus your opponent because they'll intercept. I'm sorry, Fruits Basket Elf, I misinterpreted his ability. What he does is he prevents normal guarding rather than guarantee a hit. So in other words, the only way they can guard is intercept. There we go. I said it right, finally. Now we're talking about the grade 3s. The grade 3s are aesthetic. Master Wisteria, Counterblast 1. When a Neo-Nectar rises this unit, pay the cost. Choose 2 Neo-Nectar rear guards, in other words, let's say this column, and search them for up to 1 card of the same name as this one. So in other words, Cherry Bloom, Cherry Stone. Cherry Bloom, Cherry Stone for Counterblast 1. Hits Cherry Stone. Bam. All of a sudden you filled up your field where previously you only had 2 cards for 2 Counterblasts and a Soul Blast 1. Fantastic card. Can be used in nearly any Neo-Nectar deck. It is OP in Musketeers, that's why it's not a Musketeer. Simple as that. If Musketeers could plus that much off of their abilities, as well as send so many cards into the graveyard, so on and so forth, it really does ruin the day of the people fighting them. So, fortunately, when this comes out and they play, this guy in Musketeers, pressure is relieved. Overall, though, he's one of the best break rides out there. Sure, he's not Dragonic Overlord. Sure, he's not Infinite Zero. But at the same time, if you've only got like 2 rear guards and you see him come out, he is a sight for sore eyes. Because he's a +1. Maybe even a +2 if you play your cards right, long-term wise. So in other words, don't choose him. Actually, I should put 1 more in the deck just in case. I think I will do that later. But like, choose him, all of a sudden, bam, bam, you have columns. Even Poison Mushroom has a use in this case, because it guarantees higher field. Ace of the deck. Maiden of Venus Trap Muse. She's got a generic Counterblast 1 +2k power until end of turn. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I can hit cross rides. But the problem is, most of this stuff is 7k. So it's not really needed. The Counterblast can be spent on better things. Cherry Stones, Wisterias, so on and so forth. Her own ability. Counterblast 1, lock 1, top 5, choose a Neo-Nectar among them, place it on R, give it +5k, and shuffle the deck. In other words, Heyo Pineapple becomes 16k, and it becomes its own column. For a Counterblast 1, lock 1, +1. It's a +1. Guaranteed every turn. If you need a booster, bam bam, 24k column if you get out the 8k Corolla Dragon. Need a column over here, lock, 16k Heyo Pineapple. Attack with it first, stand trigger 21k, with a crit or something, 26k. Fantastic. She doesn't have a cross ride like Hayaki Vogue, but at the same time, she doesn't really need one. Neo-Nectar, I don't think, has a cross ride. I don't want to say that for sure, but I don't think so. And honestly, what would the defense do for them? They're just a slightly they're not a slightly better Gold Paladins. Actually, yeah, Gold Paladins do a lot of the same things they do. But the difference between Neo-Nectar is that they build off the same cards. They're directed. In other words, you build the field the way you want to, and then it grows. Fantastic columns. Really, it's going to be one of the underappreciated cards of the Set 14 season. But I think that we will have a lot of fun with it nonetheless. I do hope to see it played more than Planetal Dragon, but less than Yatagarasu. And I think there's a lot you can do with it. You can play the unreversed version with it, which is kind of terrible. It's a terrible card. unless you can get a lot of different cards out there. Because what it is Counterblast 1, when it attacks, search the top 5 for a card with the same name as something else on your field and put it on the field. Sure, it's a +1 for Counterblast 1, and you don't have to block anything, but it's like, okay, I'm copying a grade 2, I'm copying a grade 1 I don't need, etc., etc. Anyway, that's my opinion on it. This is a solid deck that will certainly see you well. Again, put one more of him in there. That's the only change I would make right now. This has been Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King, signing out.